Well, the weekend is coming into a close, so that doesn't mean that we end right here. First things first, we're going to be reviewing GCW's much recent event Now and Forever in New York City, where of course the GCW tag titles and the world title are defended. But our main event features Utami Hayashishita taking on Lufisto. That's going to be a good match to talk about. And of course, we move on with Impact Wrestling with one of their biggest pay-per-views, Slammiversary. All titles are defended. So we have two matches of the countdown, and then of course the main card. Then we move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling with day 2 of the G1 Climax 33 with the C and D blocks. So we're going to find out who wins their matches in this one. And of course, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing in, who is booked, what match are set, any injured wrestlers, new signed wrestlers, the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay, right here. So, if you are new to the channel, if you like what you see, please click subscribe and we'll review every wrestling show we can get our hands on. And of course, if you like this episode, please click like. Now let's get the show on the road with our first review, which is GCW Now and Forever down in New York City. Now, our opening match was originally supposed to be a four-way scramble match consistent with Marcus Mathers versus Brendan Toon versus Cole Bradrick, and then finally Alec Price. However, the so-called root of all evil, along with his big brute Pero, showed up. Now, we don't know what's the significance of him participating in the scramble match. Now, there was no number one contendership for any title involved in that. So, whatever the case was, he participated. But, however, everybody knew that Charles Mason was the one person that they need to avoid because he is sadistic and he's also the opportunist. Alec Price had Marcus Mathers right where he wanted him when he applied the surprise kick. But, however, Charles Mason took that advantage and decided to give the rear naked choke onto Mathers, forcing him to tap out. But however, his big brute Pero decided to leave a destruction. We don't know why is Charles Mason doing it, but I don't know. Someone needs to kick his ass one way or the other. Now, our next match, we have, now they're calling themselves the Deathmatch Royalty. Steph DeLanders and Matt Cardona, the so-called indie god slash king of the death matches, which is a load of crap in my opinion, because he only had one death match. It doesn't make him automatically the king of the death match, because the only king in death match that I know and you guys know is Nick Gage. So they face against Boosie, Alley Catch, and Effie. Now, there was a moment where we could have had a lesbian kiss in the whole thing, but Cardona had to be a goddamn party pooper for all of us when it comes to that. But, of course, everything would have gone fine. But before I proceed with anything, Cardona showed up dressed up like The Undertaker, using his theme song, calling himself the Rider Taker. Right. And Steph DeLanders brought in an urn, thinking she's like a ghetto version of Paul Bear, so like that. But however, it was of course Matt Cardona that gave the jackknife onto Alec Catch to pick up the win, which is a huge disappointing loss for Boosie. everybody in the GCW universe are not fans of Matt Cardona one way or the other. Now, our next match, we have an incredible lucha style wrestling match. We have Gringo Loco versus Aries versus Commander. Now, you know there's going to be a lot of high spots, especially if you're a fan of the lucha libre style. You know there's going to be some insane moves from everyone, especially Commander. But, however, in this match, it was Gringo Loco with an avalanche, what he called it? An avalanche base bomb on Aries to pick up a good win. I thought that was insane, but it worked and it was effective. Now, our next match, we have Mance Warner, the Southern Psycho, taking on a legend, Deep South. Now, George South, he's a legend, but now he's basically trying to find ways to pick up wins, even if he has to cut corners. However, that didn't stop Mance Warner, the Psycho, until he, in fact, pinned him by using the ring ropes feet. No one cared because that's how he is. So, he won his match. Now, our next match is for the GCW Tag Team titles. The challengers are the Bookers, consistent of guys from House of Glory, Brian XL, and Amazing Red. Now, recently, they went to GCW and they attacked East West Express, Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver, and took their titles. But when they arrived to the ring, they told the ring announcers, declare us as the tag champions. But the fact is, they did not win the titles. They just stole the titles, claiming them as their own. They have to beat the East West Express. However, you probably would have guessed it because they had Ultraviolet by their side, making sure they win the match. The referee was knocked down, but however, an unlikely ally for the East West Express, and of course, who were a thorn of the side of the Bookers main event, Jay Lyons and Midas Black, decided to give a helping hand and take Ultraviolet to the back, while Brian XL goes chase after them, leaving Red by himself until he got the double cloud cutter, and of course, East West Express retained their tag titles. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting match. This is more of a rematch or sorts. Billy Starks versus Maki Ito. Now, the last time these two tangoed, Billy Starks have won. However, ever since Maki Ito has been making a lot of appearances in GCW, she found a great mentor, and that mentor is none other than the leader of the MDK gang, Nick Gage. And I think it helped for a lot. I mean, what a great match. I mean, it felt like for Maki, it's like redeeming herself from the last match that she had with her, but she was able to apply a Texas Cloverleaf, forcing her to tap out. But of course, without celebrating this match for Maki to finally getting her win against Billy Starks, Nick Gage shows up to congratulate her. But however, of course, Nick Gage knows he has to address a certain pain in the ass, and we're talking about Matt Cardona and Steph DeLanders. So they say that they will have a match at Homecoming, and of course Matt Cardona played a fast one on them by playing a video, then sneak up from behind them, accepting them. Now, Cardona claims that since he declares himself as the king of the deathmatch, that Nick Gage is a wannabe. We all know Nick Gage is no slouch, but sooner or later Nick Gage will put him out of business one way or the other, and so will put Maki Ito to Steph DeLanders. So we'll see that happen. It will probably take place at Homecoming on August 19th or the 20th. So we'll see about that. Now, our next match, we have an old rivalry between Mike Bailey versus Yoshihiko. Now, I want to be honest with everybody. This match was so fun, but in the same time, they decided to recreate the match between Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. So the way this match was in, Mike Bailey was the Will Ospreay of the group, while Yoshihiko is Kenny Omega. He applied the One Wing Angel, even the V-Trigger, all of it, including Will Ospreay was like doing certain things. I mean, Mike Bailey would do what Will Ospreay would do, like certain things. But I was so impressed. I mean, both sides busted open and all this other stuff, which is something that we've seen at the Forbidden Door 2 between Ospreay and Omega. But in this case, it was Mike Bailey with the Stormbreaker that allowed him to win the match. I thought that was so hilarious. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting one, a six-man tag team match. We have Los Macizos, Miedo Extremo, Ciclopse, and of course, honorary member Jimmy Lloyd taking on the OGs, Homicide, Grim Reaper, and Matt Tremont. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed like you got the older generation versus the new generation. However, how this match was going to end, well, it ended with the OGs when it was Homicide who picked up the win for his team. I thought it was great. So it was a lot of fun. Now our next match we have is the GCW World Title between Maho from DDT and Blake Christian. Now Blake Christian decided to play mind games once again, playing tricks on everybody, saying that he could make it, but he attacked Mao from behind. But Mao, he even gave him an ass whooping he couldn't believe. But somehow Blake Christian was able to turn it around and gave Mao a stomp to retain the top. But sooner or later, I'm sure someone will dethrone the so-called champion. Now our main event is something we've been all expecting. Straight up from Stardom, we have Utami Hayashishita taking on Lufisto. This is a very interesting match. Lufisto is a veteran in the entire wrestling world. How would Utami Hayashishita will defeat her? Well, that's a good thing. However, she did apply her infamous hijack bomb to pick up the win. This allowed for Hayashishita to leave here with a 3-0 record, meaning she won 3 matches here in the States, but also no losses. So that's pretty good. So, but of course, after this event, I did mention she went to Canada to participate in tapings, and it was already confirmed that she was facing against Trisha Dora in Ring of Honor. So we will see that when it is aired. And I think that's pretty much it right now with GCW. Let's move on with our next one, Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling with Slammiversary. This took place this past Saturday. This one we are going to do with the countdown uh, to Impact, which of course is like the pre-show. Our first match is a 6-person tag match. We have Jai Vidal, Savannah Evans, and Giselle Shaw taking on a very interesting team up. Jody Threat teaming up with Courtney Rush and Jessica from the Death Dolls. I have to say that was a very interesting team up. I feel the Death Dolls and Jody Threat can coexist in some capacity. They have like that same punk rock type of attitude, and I thought it was pretty great. But however, you have to realize Giselle Shaw is trying to get herself back in the mix, knowing that she was not in a good mood, knowing that she cannot have the spotlight since we know where the spotlight is. But however, it was of course a spear made by Courtney Rush on Jai Vidal to pick up the win, giving Jody Threat and the Death Dolls a pretty good win. Now, our next match features the Digital Media Championship. Joe Hendry defends it against Kenny King. Now, Kenny King has been chasing this belt, but at the same time has been already been pushed. His buttons were pushed by none other than Joe Hendry because of the stripper Kenny. But of course, we're gonna have Sheldon Jean being there by his side. There were moments in this particular match where Sheldon Jean makes sure that this match doesn't end with Joe Hendry retaining the title. But however, in this case, it was of course Kenny King using the ropes for leverage. The ref didn't see it, and he becomes the new Digital Media Championship. But we'll see what happens until then. But he probably is happy that he finally got rid of what's his name, Joe Hendry. But sooner or later, someone will challenge him and dethrone him somehow. But we'll see. Now let's jump to our main card of Slammiversary. We have the infamous Ultimate X. Now, those who don't know what this is, if you're new to Impact Wrestling, let me explain. Ultimate X is kind of like a ladder match for cruiserweights, but instead of that, there's some ropes tied like an X, and on top of it, there's the letter X. You have to pull it out. Now, if you were able to pull that thing down, you're guaranteed an opportunity for a #1 contendership for the X Division title. However, in the past, we have used the X Division title on that, but it's been done before. However, the competitors involved, we have Kushida versus Alan Angels versus Jonathan Gresham versus Kevin Knight, and then Mike Bailey, who of course Mike Bailey has experience in this and won that. However, another person was added in the mix. I'm not. He's huge, but he doesn't have like that cruiserweight mentality. But the X Division means no limits, and it's none other than Jake something. We did not anticipate that, but man, you know this, that when it comes to the Ultimate X, anything could happen. I mean, it's far more dangerous. You have to have a good grip in order to maintain it. But luckily, it was Kushida who walked out as the winner, and he gets a guaranteed opportunity for the X Division title. But however, I'm sure he'll be paying attention for the X Division match, the X Division title match that will be taking place. Now, since Slammiversary is in Windsor, Canada, we had a surprise visit from someone from the old TNA days, and of course part of Team Canada, A1. Haven't seen that guy in a long time, but it's great that he's there. I'm sure he's there to support Scott D'Amore, the coach, so it's going to be fun to see. Now, our next match is the Impact Knockouts Tag Team titles. We have Masha Slammers and Killer Kelly, who were once rivals and now they're tag partners taking on the Coven. This was a very interesting, alliance between Slamovich and Kelly, but it seemed like it's to work. Now, they were able to separate Tyler Wilde away from Kyle King, since Kyle King is a much bigger competitor. You probably would have thought this was going to be that the Coven were somehow going to retain the titles, but no. Somehow Slamovich and Kelly were able to work together, but it was Slamovich with the snowplow onto Wilde to pick up the win and become the brand new Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Now, our next match, I believe. Oh no, never mind. We have Darren McCarthy, who is a hockey player based out of Canada. He plays as a special enforcer to take on Bully Ray and Diener. Now, originally we were supposed to have Bully Ray and Macklin taking on Scott D'Amore and PCO, but PCO was injured due to some burnings thanks to Bully Ray. Steve Macklin was not there, but Diener decided to volunteer himself as Bully Ray's tag partner due to the fact that he hates Scott D'Amore because he confessed to him that he is a Jeff Jarrett guy. Of course, Bully Ray thinks that D'Amore is an idiot for being under controlling Impact Wrestling in his own way rather than let things done. But Bully Ray only gets what he wants, however he wants. But the obvious question did tell, who did Scott D'Amore pick as his partner since PCO's out? Well, apparently there was a video clip that showed with talking to James Mitchell saying that it's impossible to bring back PCO, but it seems that he had another idea. And apparently that idea, James Mitchell must have brought someone back from the dead. And that person is none other than Eric E.Y. Young. I did not expect that because that was really fun. And of course, everybody were like, what the hell? He came back from the dead. But man, this match was so unbelievably amazing. Not to mention, Khan, who is one of Diener's lackeys, was there too. But luckily he was taken out by A1, who was there to support his former teammates. And I thought it was great. And of course, McCarthy became the referee since he knows that he had to step up. But luckily, it was, of course, Scott D'Amore. He applied the Canadian Destroyer onto Diener and pick up the win, while Bully Ray went through a table, so he was stuck there like a little girl, not going nowhere. I thought it was a great match. But, of course, this match was more like a reunion for Team Canada. I thought it was great. I remember Team Canada when I started watching TNA, but it was great. I love it. Now, our next match is the X Division Championship, Lio Rush versus Chris Sabin. Lio Rush officially attacked Chris Sabin before the bell rings, but the medical doctors told him that he could not continue on, but instead he decided to be stubborn. The match went on quickly, but it took only 2 final hours for Lio Rush to defeat Chris Sabin. But however, how would this affect Chris Sabin's tag team partner, who is in fact the current Impact World Champion? Well, Gia Miller wanted to know what's he thinking, but he had no comment. He just walked out. I think he knows that things are not looking good for the Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, Chris Sabin lost the X Division title, but does this mean that, of course, Sabin will lose the title? Well, that's a good, obvious question, but we'll see. Now, our next match is for the Impact World Tag Team titles in a four-way match. We have Moose and Brian Myers versus Subculture, Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews versus Sami Callihan and Rich Swann versus the champions ABC. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed that everybody wants these titles so badly, especially, you know, Moose and Myers, who already had their sights set on them. But however, this match took a turn for the champions when none other than the Rascals showed up and attacked, because they've been trying to. They thought that they should be integrated into this match, but however, it was never happening. It cost the ABC the tag titles, but it was Subculture who picked up the win when, of course, Mark Andrews took out everybody who was outside, while Flash Morgan Webster took out everybody outside the ring, while it was Mark Andrews who applied a shooting star press onto Brian Myers to pick up the win, and they become the brand new Impact World Tag Team Champions. So that was pretty sweet right there. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a rivalry who, in fact, felt who was the locker room leader. So we had Eddie Edwards versus Frankie Kazarian, but however, they did not come alone. Eddie Edwards highlighted was Alicia, and of course, Frankie Kazarian, Tracy Brooks. So basically, we know there was going to be outside shenanigans with Alicia going on, but Tracy Brooks was going to get involved in every way possible. But in this case, the referee did not see it. Eddie Edwards once again used his so-called Kenny the Kendo stick in order to pick up the win. So we'll see. So that kind of ends there. But is this rivalry between Frankie and Eddie Edwards done? Well, we'll see what happens then. Now, this, our semi-main event, is for the Impact Knockouts World Title. Trinity taking on Deonna Purrazzo. I have to say, Deonna Purrazzo brought the fight to her, but Trinity is the underdog in this story. Now, I'm not saying because of her history. I'm saying that many people have often said that she will never get to the top. And I think in this is more like saying, I'm trying to redeem myself to prove people wrong. And I think that's a good story to tell. And of course, she had to face against the best of the best in Impact Wrestling, which is Deonna Purrazzo. But it took only a submission to put away Deonna Purrazzo for her to tap out. And of course, Trinity applied the, the Starstruck, and forced her to tap. So who will be Trinity's next opponent? Well, we don't know. My money will be on Giselle Shaw, since I know she doesn't like the spotlight not being thrown in, but we'll see what happens on Thursday. Now, our main event is the Impact World Title between Nick Aldis and Alex Shelley. Now, Nick Aldis has been saying that Alex Shelley, he's sick and tired of people saying that they deserve this title. But however, Alex Shelley took every ounce of beating that he can to not let Nick Aldis win. But it took maybe maybe 2 or 3 shell shocks to put him away. And I thought it was great. No matter what Nick Aldis did, Alex Shelley had that attitude, being like, never say die attitude. And I think that's a good thing. Just tell the story. You doubted me, you saying that I don't deserve this. Well, I'm going to prove you wrong. And he did. He retained the title. But however, that does not end there. We had a surprise return with the former Impact World Champion, Josh Alexander. And of course, he only said one word: I'm back. So I'm excited for that. So I can't wait to see what Josh is going to do. So I think that's pretty much it with Impact Wrestling. So let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, day 2 of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, those who are not familiarized with New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax, I'll do a quick little refresher for everyone or those who are new to the channel. I'll give you guys a little crash course what the G1 is. the G1 Climax is a tournament that happens every year. They determine who is going to win this tournament by point-based system, not an elimination where the loser is out of the tournament. Not like that. You have to have enough points in order to win. Now, the point system works is you only get 2 points if you win, but if you don't win, you have 0. But if you have a time limit draw, whatever time limit draw it was announced, the individual wrestlers will get 1 point each. Each point is calculated, but at near the end it gets a little confusing where it goes. But you probably, now for those who probably would ask, what does the winner get in the end? Well, they do get an opportunity for a shot of the IWGP World Heavyweight title at the biggest show of the start of the year. That is called Wrestle Kingdom, which is their version of WrestleMania. So now we recap on that. So let's get started. Opening up for the G1, this is of course the C block. We have C and D block. Now our first match is from the C block. We have Tomohiro Ishii taking on the leader of the Bullet Club, David Finlay. Now man, this match was brutal. Now we know Tomohiro Ishii, he is the toughest SOB on the planet. You probably wouldn't imagine it. But David Finlay has been putting up a lot of effort to prove why his version of the Bullet Club is the real deal, that they're all killers, that they should be at the top. Tried to prove that every leader who's been there before him have failed their objective. But he feels that they will not fail the objective. But it took only the Into the Oblivion, which was now formerly known as the Trash Panda, by David Finlay in order to pick up the win, so he gets 1 point. Now we jump into the D block. We have a showdown between teammates from Chaos, Tomohiro Ishii and Hiroki Goto. Now this match, I had a feeling there was going to be some funny business because Toru Yano, he likes to play tricks on people, play dirty tricks by either putting tape on them onto the handlebars, whatever they think it could work in order to win. However, Yano tried to use the exposed turnbuckle. He even had a little mascot right there, tried to distract Goto, but it did not work. But it took only the GTR by Goto to put away Toru Yano and receive 2 points, and Yano gets 0. Now we go back to B block. Block C block actually. We have Aaron Henare versus Mikey Nichols from TMDK. Now, Aaron Henare is a member of the United Empire. He comes out with a brand new look. Now, if you guys know the New Zealand Maori, they have these tattoos on their face. Aaron Henare showed up in that. But man, he was brutalizing Nichols by any means necessary to win, because oftentimes Henare say that this is his time. But however, it did not, because it ended by the Master Blaster, which is like a version of the Tiger Driver or something. But wow, that match ended. But hopefully Aaron Henare is okay. Hopefully he didn't injure himself. Last time he got injured, he was sidelines for that. But Mikey Nichols received 2 points, while Aaron Henare gets 0. Now we jump back to D block. We have Shane Hayes, another TMDK member, taking on none other than Alex Coughlin. But Coughlin, you know, he's a war dog who's a member of the Bullet Club. He would have done everything to ensure that this match falls in his favor. But however, he was could have been disqualified because he didn't care. He was going to take out Shane Hayes. But luckily for him, Shane Hayes was able to use the chairs that were left behind by Coughlin, and then apply, of course, the he applied, oh yeah, that's right, a Death Valley driver right on top of the chairs that hurt like hell. But it only took Shane Hayes with the Bomb Valley Death to pick up the win. So he gets 2 points. Now we head back to the C block. We have Shingo Takagi taking on Eddie Kingston. Now I think this is a very good match, because Eddie Kingston has been the kind of guy who often talks about the Japanese wrestling. He feels that he can connect with the fans, and I think it's proper that way, because Eddie has always been showing. I think many fans opened up to him. But this is one of those house fight matches you definitely will love to see. Clothesline, back fist, everything. But it took countless times for Eddie Kingston to apply the Northern Light Bomb, which was the move that he used on Kenta to become the New Japan Strong openweight champion. And also, ironically, it's the same move that Julia used against Willow Nightingale. But he was able to apply that to pick up the win. I thought it was great. So I think this match was good. Now we jump back to D Block. We have Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Zack Sabre Jr. Now, according to what commentators say, they have run into each other on various occasions. However, many say that Hiroshi Tanahashi shouldn't be involved in this. Recently, we know that he's been very slow due to some knee problems that he had in the past, but he was able to withstand whatever Zack Sabre Jr. Now, keep in mind, Zack Sabre Jr. is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. He would have found ways to pick up a win, but it took only a roll-up by Zack Sabre Jr. to defeat Tanahashi, and he picked up 2 points. So I know Zack Sabre Jr. is one of those wrestlers I definitely believe he could make it to the finals, just a few, but I'll talk about that at some other time. Now we go back to the C block. We have Evil versus Tama Tonga. Now these two guys are no strangers to each other. Now if you guys remember last year, it was Tama Tonga who defeated Evil for the Never Openweight Championship. Now Evil was amongst those that turned their backs on Tama Tonga when he was still a member of the Bullet Club and all this other stuff. But of course, whenever he goes, his partner from House of Torture, Dick Togo, was going to get involved, and of course Yano tried to get involved. But no matter what happened, Tama could not stop Evil. Evil applied the everything is evil finisher, and boom, he picks up his 2 points. But of course, Evil was stopping nothing to pick up a win. However, there is one match that I'm looking forward to when it comes to Evil, is against, of course, the current Bullet Club leader, David Finlay, because apparently some people are saying, question Finlay about Evil, saying this guy has too many losses. How can you be okay with that? So I don't know if Finlay has anything that he wants to say or what, but we'll see. Now our main event, this is a little bit of a interesting match for the D block. We have Jeff Cobb versus Naito. Now Jeff Cobb has been unsuccessful to defeat Naito, but however, the reason he's been successful, Naito has this way to get into people's heads, but not the kind where he thinks, because all Naito says is tranquilo. That's all he's been doing. But however, that wasn't the case. Even Naito tried to do everything he can, but it was not enough. He ended up on the wrong side of the tour of the islands, losing his first match of the day. But of course, during the post-match, Jeff Cobb tried to try to mock Lij with the roll call, but sooner or later someone's gonna teach him a lesson not to do that. But we'll see how that turns out. So I think that's pretty much it right now with New Japan. Let's move on with some news updates. Alright, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have so far. Now, as a result of what happened at the G1 Climax, Eddie Kingston, as you know, has been living the dream. His dream has always been to wrestle for New Japan. However, he actually has that he wants to have another match with Shingo Takagi. So he said that during a post-match comments that he goes out, hey Tony Khan, call Shingo Takagi. Now we know Shingo has appeared in AEW before, but unfortunately for this year's Forbidden Door, he was part of the opening match, which was a huge disappointing thing. I'm sure Tony Khan will definitely make that happen. I mean, we would love to see another match between both Shingo and Eddie. That's something I'm looking forward to it. Now, as you know, those who know this or not, I'm from San Diego, California. Right down south from us in San Diego is the Mexican border, Tijuana, Mexico. Down there, of course, we had AAA Lucha Libre with their show Triple Mania. Now, the main event features Kenny Omega versus Hijo de Vikingo. Was a match was supposed to happen. Now, that's not the important part that happened. During a press conference, Konosuke Takeshita attacked Kenny Omega out of nowhere. Don Callis was there. However, a fan attacked Don Callis and might have hurt himself down there. So they managed to arrest the fan, but Don Callis was not okay. From what reports are saying, that he had to leave Tijuana to come down here to the States to go to the hospital, which is a smart move. I don't know if they were able to make it in time, because of course the weekend is chaotic. Those who know, coming out of Tijuana, Mexico by car is not an easy task unless you have a type of passport called a Century that will get you across faster. But luckily, it doesn't have. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Now, interesting. This one was reported by Fightful Select. It's now been reported that Ian Ricaboni, who is the the commentator for Ring of Honor, has announced that he signed a multi-year deal with AEW. So we will be seeing him more often in possibly in AEW and Ring of Honor as well. A match has been announced for the Deadlock Pro Wrestling Beast Coast on the 18th, on the 13th of August. We have Jackson Drake versus Adam Priest. So get ready for that. The RevPro 11th anniversary show that takes place on the 26th. It was announced that Lucas Jacobs will be facing the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii. This is gonna be good. I have to say that's gonna be some very strong stuff. Now, those who know this guy, Zilla Fatu, is the son of the late Umaga. He just recently had his debut match at Reality of Wrestling, which is the promotion that belongs to Booker T. If you know the history, Booker T was one of Umaga's trainers and teachers. Now he's doing the same thing for his son. But however, that's not the important part. It appears that Zilla applied the infamous Samoan Spike, which is a move that his dad Umaga tried and used in the past, and now he's doing it himself. So I think that's pretty sweet. Now for our GCW updates, this one was reported for My Name Is on the 4th of August. We have Cold Radical versus Crazy King. That's going to be great. Now it's official with, of course, at the Homecoming show on night 1 on the 19th of August. It's going to be Maki Def Kill taking on the Deathmatch Royalty, Matt Cardona and Steph the Landers. Now, of course, they are now GCW will be doing an Australian tour in 3 different shows. On August 25th will be in Sydney. The 26th of August will be at Melbourne, and then finally on the 27th of August at Bisrain. Now these are the wrestlers that have been confirmed to be involved in this particular tour. We have Hijo del Vikingo, Maki Ito, Bussy, which is Ali Catch and Effie, Joe Janela, Gringo Loco, Steph Delanders, Charlie Evans, Everett Connors, and I'm sure there's going to be more. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I don't know when I will see the show, but it will be great. Now, another interesting announcement, Multiverse United 2 has been announced on the 20th of August. Leo Rush will be teaming with Trey Miguel to take on the Time Bomb Hiroshi Tanahashi and Speedball Mike Bailey. I have to say, that's going to be a classic Cruiser X Division style match. Recently on Ice Ribbon, YuuRi has defeated Satoru to become the brand new Ice Infinity champion. Now, this is YuuRi's first championship that she's ever gained. I will be doing a discussion video talking about her, discussing what I like about her and all that. So stand by for that one. Now, finally, if you guys remember what happened in April during the WrestleMania week, as you know, Giselle Shaw, she's a transgender wrestler. It was reported that Rick Steiner went out being a transphobic person, saying some harsh remarks about Giselle Shaw, and of course, this led to the immediate action for WrestleCon to ban Rick Steiner for what happened. People thought that this would affect his son Braun Breaker's chances, however, it did not. But in this case, WrestleCon has made a statement about this, and this is what they had to address. And I'm going to repeat this; it's going to be a long while. I'm going to address the Rick Steiner issue here instead of responding to every post. I hope everyone takes the time to read, but also understand if you choose not to hear another side. Rick made completely inappropriate remarks to Giselle Shaw at our event in Los Angeles. As we were made aware of what happened, we swiftly addressed the issue, but we never shared details of what happened at the event. In hindsight, we probably made a mistake not to share more details during the immediate after the event was concluded. I'll take full responsibility. My wife died 3 weeks ago after the LA show at the age of 46 after a long battle of cancer, and I made a lot of mistakes during that time. However, at no time that and or after to we condone Rick's um, made in LA. We did not fail to act after we were notified as a result. We removed him from the convention center from the duration of the event. Rick's poor decision forever impacted his brand, relationship within wrestling community, and alienated many of his fans. One of the positive things Rick did is that it was not publicized. Is is immediately apologized. He apologized to the members of the WrestleCon fans staff. He apologized to many of his fellow wrestlers, and he offered to apologize to the members of Impact Wrestling staff that choose to hear from him at a private media event. Giselle chose not to attend Rick's apology, which we 100% understood and supported, and still support this day. She had no obligation to hear anything from Rick, nor she ever feel obligated to accept any apology from him then or now. Now we have 3 months beyond the event. I feel Rick has learned a lot from his huge mistake. I know it's easier to cancel people when they are make mistakes than it's for getting to help educate. However, sometimes I think it's important that we give people a second chance. That being said, Rick will forever be on a zero tolerance scale moving forward at any of our events. If we are proven wrong that he has not learned from his mistakes, we will enforce permanent ban. Not that is not a implied that everyone gets on one free strike. We continue to strive and have an environment where everyone feels safe and included. If we have faced with issues to compromise that environment, we will take the necessary action. Michael Bocchichiro, owner of WrestleCon. So it appears that now Rick Steiner will be getting a second chance. This is stuff that we haven't heard anything from yet, and I understand Giselle Shaw that if she doesn't want to hear what Rick Steiner had to say, no one needs to obligate her or force her. She has every right not to hear what he says. But if Rick really is sincere, what he did was wrong, then we should give him a second chance. But he will be more in a short leash, in my opinion, for what the statement mentioned. So we'll see how that turns out in future events of WrestleCon. So I think that's pretty much it for now, what we have for our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. As for our next episode, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. However, I will be doing another Unagi Sayaka watch video. Stand by for that. And I'll be preparing for the next discussion video, which is, of course, about YuuRi. I'm very fascinated by her story and everything she has done as a wrestler. And I think you guys will like her, too, when you hear a lot about her. I haven't decided what shows to review. I still got a few that I haven't seen yet. But there's more to come. As of for now, we'll just leave it as that. But I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.